minute.
10 seconds.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Iroquois Board of Education is called to order. I'd like to invite Mr. John Lewinsky, our business administrator, to present and discuss our annual budget hearing.
Thank you very much. We're required, all school districts are required to do a budget hearing between 7 and 14 days before the budget vote occurs. The budget vote is next week, Tuesday, so we're satisfying that requirement with this presentation tonight. There's nothing new really to discuss here. Everything I'm going to show has been seen before. There's no changes to anything. The only thing that may have a little more discussion on is when we get to state aid, because there's some information that just came out in the last week that we can talk about. But most of the other things are what we discussed before. Turn this on first, like that. And then
Can you advance it?
I'll advance it. So we got vision, mission, I won't read those again. Considerations, of course, we're conduct things in an open manner. Good judgment in our managing our resources. Future focused, of course, looking not at 1 year, 2 years, we're looking at 5 years, 10 years down the road at what could happen and making sure we're ready for that. Simple agenda, revenues, expenses, and propositions. Thank you. And our philosophy, of course, is protect instructional programs of our district, deal with these state aid and tax levy fluctuations that can happen. We're concerned about the state aid and tax cap and how it's not supporting CPI costs. And though the CPI is coming down, we're still dealing with the last 2-3 years of those higher costs that we had to absorb. We're dealing with new state mandates as they occur. And then we're looking at how New York State is looking at the philosophy of distribution of aid, the foundation aid formula. There could be changes to that coming down the road, so we're always watching that as well. Revenue side, tax cap calculation, of course, looking at some of our history there. In the high 2s is kind of where we've been averaging. We're typically about 1 percentage point above what the allowable growth factor is, it seems. That's kind of typical of where we are. And no difference this year. When you look at our tax cap calculation, we're at 3.34%. The cap really is the 2% factor on CPI, which is in the middle, the blue bar. But there's many other things that we have to load into this to get to our final result. And when we do that, and we submit this calculation to New York State as well, so they see it, we're at 3.34, and that's the allowable tax increase with a simple majority, 50% vote. So that's kind of looking at the impact on taxes. We can estimate here today that's 3.34% increase on your tax bill, but of course we don't know until equalization rates are done by 6 different towns. Assessments may change and vary, and we don't know that information until typically August or so.
I always like to say we pretty much guarantee that these numbers will be wrong, because the equalizations will change on one or more of the towns, but it's the best we can do with the information we have.
And there's the history of where we've been. What we've been seeing actually is, though we think the rate should go up every year, our overall property values have been increasing quite a bit, so that when you spread that tax levy across more tax dollar value, that gives the appearance that the equalized tax rate is actually going down. Doesn't mean your tax bill is going down, it just shows an equalized rate is showing that way. Foundation aid is the one we've got new information on this week. We had anticipated 2% increase on that, and that's really where it wound up being last week, Friday, I think, is when the final numbers came out. Great news is that universal free school breakfast and lunch for all students did pass, so we're looking forward to that. We don't know if we still have to do income verification sheets for people. We think that's going to go to the wayside because they're pulling that factor out of state aid so that we don't need those applications filled out. We don't think. That's what we're thinking today. Also, there was a kind of a win-lose thing. BOCE's aidable salary cap, we've been asking for this for many, many years, for it to increase from $30,000 for a teacher to $60,000, which is more realistic. That's going to happen. The downside is it's not going to happen until the 2028-29 school year.
Quick calculation with math too. 60,000 in 28-29 will still be a lower returnable aid ratio from the state than the $30,000 when they put it in place. So the state has not caught up to where they were at one point. They're doing better. So thank you for that. They just haven't caught up to where they were when the 30,000 was enacted.
Yeah.
Did they indicate like why such a delay? Like why it can't be like next year? Is there any reasoning behind that?
No one has given me that answer. The negative person in me says it so the people this year don't have to deal with it in the budget and they kick the can down the road. That's my personal opinion.
That's really kicking it.
That's really kicking it.
20.
Yeah.
Okay.
The catch is they satisfied, they made the change, but I think they're concerned about the cost of it, so they kicked that down the road. Other big change, this is what we've heard from our different sources that tell us break down all these budget bills that go through. There's been a reform on zero-emission bus transition. They now will allow a 24-month extension. They had 2027 as the due date. They used to have to start purchasing zero-emission buses. They have allowed now, they're going to have 24-month extensions on that, 2 more years past that. And they've expanded the justification, so they kind of opened it up to catch a lot of things, and the justification can be other factors outside of the control of the district. So that really kind of opens it up to push us probably 2 years down the road is what we're looking at.
So it'll be 2029 before we're mandated to purchase our first bus.
What was the question again?
Will it be 2029, the year we're mandated to buy our first
Currently,
bus?
it looks like that is what they pushed it to 2029 instead of 2027 now.
I figured I just wanted to ask, thanks.
But you'll have to ask for an extension for that. It's still, I guess they're saying it's still 2027, but they're going to open up the extensions and make it a little more easy to get, push it to 2029.
So John, is there any other the economic impact to pushing it to the right? You know, everything's going to increase more, but have they opened up opportunities as far as flexibility for infrastructure or compatibility with the local, the local infrastructure, we'll say the bus garage or the electric grid, in order to meet some of those justifications? Because EV buses in totality is a push from legislation and, from the governor in a sense. However, what is a little bit not brought forward is the grid infrastructure and the ability to actually truly adapt. Is there more flexibility to support that side of it than just pushing EV buses, and does this 24-month extension allow that as well?
I don't think we've seen the actual writing of the bill and what the full extension and all and this means. That's the highlight they've given us so far. That's all we know.
Okay.
But again, one of the factors outside of the district could be that we don't have sufficient power close to our bus garage. That could be a allowable extension. So no, I don't have any other details besides that. If we did get that stuff, we'll pass it on to the board and get stuff as it comes out.
Okay. I think just staying ahead of it, and I know, John, you have, and I've personally been involved in some of the conversations as well with regards to subject matter expertise to the EV sector, but what's most important is making sure that we're making good, informed decisions, and I will say it, abiding by legislation, but making sure that there's a logic and reason behind the path forward, right? We can't just turn the key tomorrow to do it, and I think that's key, and making sure that the information you're getting is then distilled to the board so that we can at least understand the economic impact that it'll have.
Agreed, thank you. The other important legislation that's going to be coming through is the bell-to-bell ban on student use of smart devices. I mean, some people have used cell phone, but it's beyond that. It's going to be, the wording's probably going to be smart devices or internet-enabled devices. There's going to be wording like that, so it covers kind of everything that could be out there. But there's going to be exceptions. That's the big part too. So we got to wait to see what these exceptions are for different students for different reasons. And maybe Doug can speak more on this, but I think we're going to have to have policy in place probably by the first day of school to address this.
Yeah, we have to have it in place by the first day of school. I know there's already concerns going to the state, and I'm going to use free and reduced lunches as my example. So with hey, Ken, can you turn up the speakers in this room a little bit? Because with noise outside, it's a little hard to hear out there. So with free and reduced lunches, back when I was a student, if you were free and reduced lunch, you got a little ticket. And there were kids with tickets and without tickets, so now it's identifiable that you're a family of economic stress. So now if you think of cell phones, if there are certain exceptions, if one of the exceptions is you have a medical condition, diabetes, where you have to look at your phone to monitor it. Well, if you have a phone, you have a medical condition. That's not identifiable. That should not be known. If it's to take care of elderly parents or something at home, well, you have problems at your household. Again, identifiable. So is this legal under that aspect that you can have these certain exceptions where some people can have one and some people can't, because people know there is something different about that family. They won't know maybe what, but it'll stand out. I did talk to my student cabinet about cell phones, and the first question was, well, can we bring in something else to listen to music? I said, well, I understand you want to listen to music during study hall or lunch or something. I said, but as long as it's not a smart device, you could, like an old MP3 player. There we go, the fan's off. Then we started talking about the impact of it, and I have always voiced, and I'm still of the opinion, I think teaching people, like I have my cell phone out here, and having it out and teaching people how and when to use it because of what's going on is very important. And with that comes a price. The people who would misuse it might also be the ones that sneak in the phones or try to find a way to get around this. And the students tended to agree with me on that. They say most of the teachers, the kids are respectful, they don't have it out. And the big intent of this is to prevent kids from being on social media, bullying during school, having inappropriate actions on the phone during school. And at Iroquois, the overwhelmingly majority of those problems happen outside the bell-to-bell. They happen outside of school hours. So banning students from it while they're here, where we can teach them how to use the phone, I don't think is going to solve the problem for Iroquois. It might help in other districts, but why it's not local control, I don't know. Students were concerned, would we be buying all these pouches that they have to put in every day and do it? I can tell you the public right now, I'm not planning on buying any pouches. There's grants and stuff out like that. And why I say that is because currently the middle school, both the II and the middle school do not allow students to have the cell phones out. With that, we expect the kids to keep them in their locker, in their backpacks, out of sight, not being used. We do have a few problems there throughout the year where someone has it out inappropriately, and we deal with that. The vast majority follow the rules. So if they can do it in middle school, I believe they can do it at high school, and I would expect the same thing carrying forward. Ninth graders should have no problems. They're doing it as eighth graders now. Seniors, juniors, sophomores might take a little refreshing how to get back to that. Haven't worked that much with the principals on it, but just if you're someone listening out there in public and have a feeling on this, if you don't like it, it's something I am going to follow. It's something that I just have to. It's my job to follow from the state. It will be enforced by the district, but if you do not like this, please contact. I think it was worded to me as the governor got her wish, so I would probably focus on the governor's office. Legislators, so they know where you are, but I would focus on the governor's office if you don't like it.
Could we include that like on a Monday message?
I will have this on my Monday message coming up. I'll probably start that at the beginning of June. I didn't want people to get confused if it was something they're voting on in the budget or not, because it's not something you can vote on. So I will be putting that out there ahead of time so parents can prepare, telling them we only have, like John said, limited information now of what does it mean bell to bell, what are the exceptions. As we get that information, that'll be disseminated to the parents, and the administrators will work on the process for their buildings. But right now, I don't see why we would do anything different than the middle school. even with the band in middle school and talking to the students, some of the students say, well, some of the teachers are more relaxed on it. So that'll be something that'll have to be reinforced with teachers, that if they're in study hall, one teacher might let them, one teacher might not in the middle school. It's no, there's no relaxation. It doesn't matter. The answer is no.
And then as we find out more, we'll have to have a policy to support that.
Yeah, we're going to have a policy in place. I think it's by September 1st. There's a date on that, and so we'll work with policy committee. And I imagine just about every district will have one. What I'm going to have to watch out in that policy and pass it on to the board is it's not restrictive. So, you know, if the policy says everyone will place one in a pouch, I would remove that. Everyone's placed it in an appropriate spot where you are not using it. That way it gives us discretion in regulation, practice of how we implement that, depending, so we can be responsive to whatever is happening with the students.
And I think that adults have problems with cell phone addiction as well. We should probably reinforce.
Really?
Good. Well, I mean, you're
I agree with
superintendent. I mean, there's no snow day or anything, but just in case anything
Yeah.
happens. But just that we should reinforce good habits to our staff as well.
And I agree with you. I think there are adults with very poor habits. And I think this is one of the things that what you do in your home might not be the same as what's done here at school. And if you don't like it, you do have a choice. And I would use that choice to call the governor and tell her how you feel.
Yep.
Do you remember the kids in middle school saying that one of the things they actually wanted was no phone?
Oh,
At the round table.
yeah.
Other kids being held accountable and they wanted no phones in middle school.
Yep.
So I think it's funny that the kids asked for it.
They got it.
Good, I'm glad.
So important to note, I put these two items on here just for information purposes because they're hot topics that we hear all the time. These have no impact on the budget we're putting forth. There's no money allocated for either one of these things, just for informational purposes only. That's all, the only reason they're there. So we look at the revenue budget, 2.59 overall increase in our revenue. On the expense side, you know, not a lot of details here in this presentation, but I'll show you where you can get that if you want. Budget retains all these things. We talked about professional development initiatives. We know that the COVID funding is kind of running out on those. We know that federal funding, title funds are questionable going forward. So we allocate more money in our budget to kind of address that and try and hold on to those professional development activities because they are important to our district, important to our staff. So we have funding allocated for that.
I just want to back up one more thing, because I guess, Todd, your mic was off. I just got a text, so they are benefit. Just what Todd said was that when the roundtables were going on, the middle school students did ask about having the cell phones not being permissible to a greater degree in the middle school. Did I quote you right with that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, like I said,
Yeah, I don't know how to turn that one on either.
it was just two big things that they had.
Yeah.
The phone, and they wanted to have the other kids held accountable, which I think is great, because
Yep.
if you've got kids that actually want responsibility and to learn, I think that's what we want in the school. So.
Perfect.
Included in the budget is a capital outlay project. As we always do for $100,000, they did, as far as we know, they did not increase the threshold. We want them to increase that to maybe $200,000 or $250,000 because $100,000 doesn't get you nearly what it used to 10 years ago. But we're trying to take that money and we're going to try and address the transportation building. It has nothing to do with zero-emission buses. We need to just address the bus facility, the lift they have in there for the buses, make sure that's up to date and safe for them to work on. The heating and air conditioning in that building, making sure it's up to date, and we've had some issues with heating in there, and we want to make sure that they're good. And pavement repairs around the building and different things there. We're going to really have to look at all those different things and look at how much they're going to cost and then decide what we're going to address. But a $100,000 project will be used for that. That work will be done in the summer of 2026. So on the expense budget, again, matching the revenue budget, 2.59% increase. So we're balanced there. There'll be a voter proposition. Number one is for the general fund budget, $60 million. Proposition number two is for vehicle replacement. As we do every year, we try to have a replacement schedule of our vehicles so that we're turning over our buses and they're not getting too old. 3 full-size buses, gas diesel buses for the full-size, gasoline for the 30-passenger cutaway, and gasoline for the wheelchair-equipped lift bus. Not to exceed 763. If we can offset that when we have trades and different things, that could come down, but we put the maximum not to exceed price on there. There's also one board seat open, which is currently held by Jane Sullivan, and there'll be 5 candidates listed on the ballot for that. So the simple majority winner will be determined from those 5.
Thank you again, Jane, for all your years of service.
Thank you, Jane. So that satisfies the budget hearing. All we have left now in the process is the vote next week on May 20th, Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the intermediate building gymnasium. Now, this was a condensed version. If you want more information on the budget, if you go to our website, on the front page, you'll see on the left side that icon with the logo mascot. Click on that. It'll open up all the different presentations I've done if you want to watch all those, but each one had a little different information. One was focused on state aid and one was focused on reserves, and so there's a lot of information there. If you like that, it's available to you anytime. And if you have any questions, you can call me, email me directly, or the superintendent, and we'll address your concerns. Any questions from the board? All right, thank you.
Thanks, John.
We have about 9 minutes before the regular meeting starts, so I think Heather's birthday's today. Now, I would sing to you, but Mr. Gasso would probably kick me out of the district hearing me sing, so happy birthday to you. Ken, did I do okay?
We're going to start the regular meeting. Welcome to the Iroquois Central School District Board of Education meeting. There are 2 recognition of guests periods, one for agenda-related comments and one for other topics. Please refrain from personal related comments and address those to the appropriate administrator. To speak, fill out the proper form and submit it to the district clerk. Public comment is limited to 15 minutes total, and with each speaker allowed up to 3 minutes. This meeting is held in public rather than a public meeting. And while we won't engage in dialogue tonight, we are listening. The meeting is live, streamed, and recording will be posted online. Let's stand, or the Pledge of Allegiance will be said by the Wales Primary students, Sadie and Jake Shelvin. We can stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now you gotta come over here to get a picture for your parents. If it wasn't for the picture, your parents would have sent you up here without it.
What do you say for inviting me today? Thank you.
Thank you. You guys did great. Thank you so much for coming.
I'd like to invite the high school students, Ava Driggs and Alexis Michalek, will update the board regarding the recent naturalization ceremony.
Good evening. I'm pleased to bring forward 2 of our exceptional high school students tonight, Ava Driggs and Alexis Michalek. Not only are these 2 students exceptional academically, but I would argue even more importantly, they are exceptional in character and in their many contributions to our school culture. They are athletes. They are contributors to many different student groups, including Key Club that was critical to this endeavor, as well as the Seal of Civic Readiness, which they will talk about even more. Come on forward, ladies.
And so for our government and politics class, we had to do a senior capstone project to earn our seal of civic readiness, and we decided to do a naturalization ceremony. We know that it's been done before by their summer class, and we thought it was a super cool opportunity that we wanted to take part in. So
we had the help of Ms. McCoy, and she helped gather the information about who would be coming, how many candidates for their citizenship, and from what countries. And then we got the help from Key Club to help get all the decorations, and we had a bunch of snacks to celebrate with them after. And it was a really cool experience because we were able to see all these people from all over the world be very patriotic about our country. And it was just really great to see and be a part of that.
we got to learn new perspectives and help understand the whole process of citizenship, because it's a long process, and we got to help bring that to light during this ceremony.
Yes, and we went to Model UN at UB, and one of the people who contributed and organized a lot was Jennifer Rizzo Choi, and she was our guest speaker. And I don't have her whole autobiography here, but she's very important. She has a lot of cool things, so it was very exciting to have her as our guest speaker there too.
And it was just such an honor to be a part and help with such a special moment in their lives that they're going to remember forever. They brought their family. There was a lot of emotion, and it was just such an amazing thing to watch and run.
Thank you for doing that, too. I was at the ceremony, and a few other administrators were there, too, with me, and it really went smoothly. I think Mr. O'Brien was the master of ceremony. So, great job. You really made a smoothless, very, exciting ceremony for all the people that were becoming naturalized citizens.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to welcome our Director of Student Services, Chris Hershey, and the Family Support Services Director, Julia Squirrow, who will give their final update of the year regarding the Family Support Center and what has been going on. So, welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having us again, as always. I'm going to stop talking now and hand it over to Julia, because this is all her.
That was close.
Hi, everybody. All right, so for this board presentation, I just want to do a quick overview of everything that we've done since the last time you guys saw me in February. And then I want to give you guys a little overview of what we're looking forward to this summer and fall coming up for 2025. So for internal referrals, specifically for the Family Support Center and with the services that I can offer families, last board meeting, February 2025, we've had 36 internal referrals. Some of those higher needs was that mental health support, so linking them with an outside clinician, finding them the appropriate clinician, whether that is insurance being taken, how far they're willing to travel, office hours, and basic needs. Basic needs was another high need, specifically housing, food, and clothing. Today, May, we are up to 51 internal referrals specifically just for the Family Support Center and what we can provide them. Again, highest needs are the mental health support and basic needs. Since the last time you guys saw me, I had 3 private clinicians reach out to me and the school district so we could partner with them in internal referrals. So when a family comes to me asking for outside clinicians that can't, services that aren't being provided during the school day, I have a set of clinicians, and I go through identifying insurance, the modality, whether it's anxiety, depression, or any other type of concern that they're dealing with at this time, and I match them with the right clinician, hoping for the most successful and easy transition that we could provide them. And then we've also had an organization reach out to us to partner with us as well. We are looking to fulfill that partnership summer of 2026. And I've also been conducting home visits, setting boundaries with families, ensuring that their needs are being met, and kind of evolving with what the community needs at this time. For our school-based services, Horizons is still growing as strong as ever. We do still have a wait list. We are hoping to fulfill that wait list by July, as Colleen will be coming on for a second full day. So she will be here 2 days a week, full days, 8 hours. We are actively providing counseling services to 13 students and have 8 students on that wait list. With Violanti, they're still providing those services at Alma on a half day on Tuesdays. We are hoping to extend those hours come July as well. They're actively providing for students with counseling services just to their limited schedule. However, in June, we're hoping to have that extended to a full day, and then in fall, move them into Marilla in Wales, so then they would be here 3 days a week, 1 day at each primary building.
And yes, we are continuing through the summer. It will still continue to occur on campus throughout the summer. It doesn't stop in school.
Yeah, so for the summer, if the families want to continue, they can continue through the summer. If they do want to take a break in the summer, they can do that as well. It will be up to the family's discretion and what they feel that they need at this time. Collaborations that we're working on right now, so the Family Support Center and ITAC in the high school have partnered with Horizons to provide teen mental health program through their grant. We are still working out the details, but this would be a program where Horizons comes into the building for the high school and provides services to those teens. And then the Family Help Center, that kinship support group program that we partnered with Alden and Akron for to provide services, resources, and supports for those grandparents raising grandchildren. We are hoping to start that in September of 2025.
And we're working with Danny's Helping Hands as well, right?
Yes, yeah, so
okay.
that partnership is still going really strong.
Okay, good.
We are continuing to refer families to them for appliances, food, clothing, anything that they can offer our families.
And I was just curious, for the services that we've been providing, are they mostly families with kids in the district, or have we gotten any families of just the
So
community?
majority of them, the students do come to school, they are in district, but I have had a handful of families where there are alumni and kids have graduated, or families that are not in district, but their kids will be enrolled this upcoming year.
Okay, that's great, thanks.
We are having our first ever Family Support Center event next Tuesday from 4 to 7. We are calling it the Family Fun Night. So we have 9 community agencies and resources that will be coming to table the event. They're going to share information about their organization, the services that they offer, and the resources that they can provide to the community. We're also going to have activities there for the students, some light refreshments, arts and crafts, games and prizes. We are going to be doing this in the II cafeteria, so if parents come and they want to go vote in the gym, they can drop their kids off in the cafeteria. The kids can have fun, play games. If the parents want to stroll down the hallway, look at some of those resources that we provided. We'll have pamphlets, brochures, anything like that the parents want to grab and take home for later.
And they can stroll down to the gymnasium and vote. Excellent.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. What type of outreach did you use to promote that Family Fun Night?
So we have it on the flyer, we had on the superintendent's message, and then social media as well. And then I also did send everything out to the principals as well, asking for those to be put on their messages as well.
What type of response have you received so far? Anything from anybody, or just?
Yeah, so I feel like we've gotten a good response. The one organization that reached out to me was a flag football league, and they reached out to actually come table this event. They were interested to come into our community, offer an activity that we could possibly partner with in the future.
So how are the 9 community agencies doing the same?
I've reached out to them, so the 9 community agencies are some of the agencies that we've already partnered with, and just kind of get them out there, get families out there as well, so then families can see who the school's partnered with and what those services can provide. Again, trying to advertise the Family Support Center and get our name out there a little bit more.
So they themselves are independently also promoting Family Fun Night through their own outreach, is that correct?
I think that's how the flag football people found out about us. It wasn't
Yeah.
us. It was through
Yeah.
word of mouth through other partnership.
I mean, I think this is a great, apologies for the questioning, I'm just trying to make sure to, as you're doing this event, it takes a lot of energy, effort, and focus, and, if you've got 9 agencies there that you're partnering with, I would just assume they would then pool their resources as well, and then outreach to their folks to make sure that we can get, community awareness, making sure that the folks understand what is available there. We still have a little bit of time to do that, just trying to see, what level of exposure. And then, once you ultimately get a group of 15, 20, 30, 40 people together, then you've got kind of an event. And so I just was asking what level of
Yeah.
effort they're putting in, and then clearly I know you are as well, what sort of response you've received, whether positive or negative or
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, like I mentioned, I feel like we've gotten really good positive response. This is the first year that we're having this, so it is still something I'm figuring out, and it was a little bit of a bumpy road trying to plan and organize. We do plan on growing every year, having, even if it is just one extra table, every year we do plan on growing and making this into an event where there could be 15, 20, 25 organizations that are coming.
Are there redundancy or overlap within the community agencies that will be there? Meaning, do they offer the same level of services, or are they differentiated between their skill sets?
They're differentiated, so some are mental health, but again, with mental health, it's kind of divided of who takes insurance, how far the distance is. So it's a lot more customizable to what each specific family would want or need. And then some other organizations are more like community-based and activity-based, so like Huddle Up Flag Football League, Boys and Girls Club will be there, Boy Scouts. So a lot of it isn't always just mental health forward. A lot of it is fun activities to expose into the community if there's new transfers or people are just coming, and offering what the community can offer to the students.
Okay, thank you.
Moving forward, so my plan moving forward, summer of '25, fall of '25, would be continuing to build trust and rapport with the community and its members. I still feel like it is pretty relatively new. I'm sure a couple of community members haven't heard about the Family Support Center or haven't put a name to a face yet. So I still want to continue to build that trust and rapport with the community, providing the community with a safe and reliable place to seek help. I want community members to know that they can come to us, they can talk to me, ensure that they are getting the best care that the school can offer, and that they're getting reliable resources, whether it is a community-based for basic needs or mental health services, that it is reliable, it is safe, and it will be a smooth, an easy transition. I want to empower the community by being proactive and building partnerships and supports. So a lot of this comes with anticipating what the community might need. So I am doing my research, new providers that come to the agency, new organizations that move into the agency or our surrounding areas, reach out to them, feel it out, possibly partner with them to be proactive in what the community might need in the future. And then guide families to self-sufficiency. So this comes with our families that are looking for those basic needs. Hand-holding, sticking with them, and helping them get to a place where they feel like they can gain that independence again. And then continuing our community needs assessments. So we did one in the fall of 2024. I would like to continue those every fall and spring, customizing them. One might be for students, one might be for community members, one might be for staff, and seeing what the ever-changing needs are of the community, keeping up on it, making sure that the resources we're providing to the members or trainings that we're providing to staff are meeting what they're asking for. And then staying on top of the community wants and needs again, just making sure that the community has a voice, they feel like they're being heard, and I'm able to provide what I can for them at that time. So the goals for the future, continuing to maintain those current partnerships, so continuing to maintain Horizons and growing it to service as many kids as we can. Same with Violante. And again, continuing to build off the community where it's at, or the program where it's at. Creating a self-sustaining program, so I'd like to get to a point where there is transparency. All of our providers that we're partnered with are on the website, whether that's for mental health, substance use, basic needs, or any of those like little niches like legal services or supports for parenting. I want to be able to provide a program where if families might not want to reach out to me, might not want to give me a call, they can go on the website and find all of those resources that I would provide them anyways, so they can have that comfort and still getting the help they want. Identify needs and triage families by allocating individuals to services and resources that benefit their current needs. So this is where partnering with multiple private practices or multiple agencies come into place. Again, each agency offers something different to the family. Each family has a unique need. So this is where I would pair the families with a specific provider that would meet those needs, whether it is insurance, the modality, their specialties. If the family does have to pay out of pocket, how much would it cost them to ensure that I'm giving them the most successful linkage possible. Continuing to tailor services to each individual family and the situation that they are in, making resources easily accessible and identifiable to the public, and building resilience with families, continuing to provide their support, continuing to build that independence for them where they can get to a place where they can provide that for themselves. And I want to create a positive experience for families. When families come to us, it might be the first interaction of the Family Support Center. I want to make sure that they have a really great positive experience so they want to come back and ask for help in the future. So they feel like they can ask for help and they know that they're going to get really good support and they know that they're going to be in really good hands. And then I would like to increase involvement with the central registration, with the McKinney-Vento. I want to make sure that families, if they're moving into the district and they are lacking any needs, whether that would be basic needs, mental health, anything like that, I can be there right from the beginning to help support them through their journey and welcome them into the district. And that is it.
So do you have like a team of people that are following you, behind you? Because you've only been here since August, and I can't believe everything that you've accomplished.
I don't let her go home.
Yeah, so thank you for everything that you do. I did have a question just about with social and emotional needs of the students that come across the Family Support Center. Are we working like closely with like maybe the teachers and the administrators that have those students in their building so they know what's going on? All that's occurring?
Yeah, I work
Okay.
really closely with the support staff, and the support staff is kind of like the middleman to the teacher.
Okay,
And then I work really closely with the administration as well, the principals, assistant principals.
okay, good. Yeah, that's important, so, great.
I just got a couple quick questions. What's the number of partners that you have currently?
I want to say in February, we had close to 22, and then with those 4 added, I want to, anywhere
Okay.
from 26 to 28.
In your geographical footprint?
Slide up again.
Has it gotten any wider? I mean, I guess that's the question, because
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a question of what did you do, it's more of a question of how, almost to Heather's point, you've done a lot in such a short period of time. And I want the community to realize that, the effort here was focused to create this liaison environment that allows us to connect to the right resources externally, where the school district as its whole can't take the whole responsibility on. And I think you've done that. So I think when I look at if it is number 24 partners, I think that's extremely impressive to make those connections, along with the geographical footprint of the local area and how we can serve the local community.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Because the district is composed of 6 buildings, geographically 4, we haven't expanded wider because a lot of the families that are reaching out to me, they don't, 20 minutes is their max transportation.
Yep.
So we're looking more so for researching people coming into the place. So the 3 providers that reached out to me, they came into Alma or East Aurora, and they moved here. So it's just keeping up to see who's coming in, who's going out, how far away it is. I believe our farthest partner is in downtown Buffalo, and the reason we did partner with them is because they are willing to come to families and not having families come to them. So I don't think we did wider just because a lot of the families aren't willing to transfer outside of a 15-mile radius. And I always ask families too, I was like, how far are you willing to travel? Because I don't want to give them somewhere that's 30 minutes away and then they can't make the appointment because it's too far, or they just don't have the time to be able to have transportation an hour a day to and from. But I feel like, just keeping up on who's coming in, who's going out, making sure it's not just for the Alma area, but it's the Marilla area and the Wales area, to make sure that a family who lives out by Wales is able to go to a clinician out there instead of having to drive all the way out to like Marilla, Lancaster area.
No, I appreciate that, and thank you for answering the question. This to me is like the epitome of the network effect in a sense, right? So you're really able to, as one person is focused And my reservation early on, if you look at previous board meetings, is one person can't do it. And it's clear they can't, but when you partner with the right folks, you're able to leverage their skill sets, their expertise, and make sure that the folks locally have the connections they need to serve their needs. So I want to thank you and Chris for the work you've done to do that.
Well, I think if I'm reading the question the right way, and just to kind of support that,
You did say, Chris, you weren't going to talk. I'm just saying.
I can only sit still for so long. I'm sitting there bouncing in my chair. I think a good example of that was we had a student the other day. I'm actually in a meeting, and I have a parent who's in crisis, and the child's in crisis, and very specific needs of this student. And I immediately text Julia while I'm sitting there in the meeting, and within 15 minutes, she had taken the information that I sent her and found a specialized therapist who works with this particular type of child, with their needs, with their insurance, and it might not have been within our typical footprint. It was in Cheektowaga, so it was not that far away, but it was one of those situations where it might not have been that typical, partner people that we deal with, but she was able to locate something else even highly specific enough that, this family could engage. So I think the footprint is also somewhat individualized in those cases when we need to, which is awesome.
I think one of the things that we can say, you can see the success of this program and its building reputation is that you have 3 people who came to you. It's now no longer you going out and trying to find them, but they now have heard that we have this program. They're willing to partner with us, and they're coming to you, and that's going to make your job a little easier next year.
Yeah, it was something definitely I wasn't expecting until year 3. And so when I had people reach out to me, it was word of mouth. People we've already partnered with spread the word, and they reached out to us. And it was a really great feeling, to be honest. It was because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think it was getting out there past our borders. And the Huddle Up, the Flag Football League, wanting to table the Family Fun Night kind of just shocked me a little bit because I was like, I didn't have flyers up on the website. They didn't go out on the superintendent's message yet. So I was just like, this isn't even out of the district. So how did you hear about it? So it was just kind of remarkable for people to kind of come to me in the 9 months I've been here.
I think it's a testament to the really good work you're doing.
Yep. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and thank you for supporting her, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I'd like to move to the superintendent's report.
All right.
Doug, you are up.
All right, so I don't have any of the open communications because no one's come to me, but however, I was in my office, and Ken, who happens to be here tonight for technology, you embarrass your sister, so it's turnaround's fair play. The DC trip, you want to just walk up, it's not on the agenda, but just talk quickly about it. I really like supporting students come on, Ken. I really like supporting trips. He's one of the, founding people for it, lead people for taking it there, but students going out to have an experience outside of Iroquois, I think is great. You have 10 seconds, go. 9.
Yes, it was overall a very successful trip. We took 109 students down to Washington, D.C., and stopped at Gettysburg on the way, and we visited, we took a tour of the Capitol Building, Arlington National Cemetery, Mount Vernon, which is the home of George Washington, saw the National Archives, a bunch of memorials and monuments as well, and visited the Smithsonian museums. Overall, we walked over 40 miles, so it's a long trip, but we always get compliments on how well behaved our students are, which is always great to hear. People stop us and say everyone's so polite and well mannered, so that's really good.
Thank you so much.
Over my 10 seconds.
Thank you so much for coming up, just being called out and doing it. But Jane does want to ask you a question.
No, I'm not asking a question. I just wanted to say, I had the opportunity to see a social media post and that you were also able to see a former board member, Gunnar Haverl. And I I loved what the students had to say about how neat it was to see somebody who comes from our district and to see him working in Washington DC and to see what's possible for them and what their futures could hold. I thought was just so inspiring, and I'm so excited to see that we still have a former board member who's really still actively involved in our district.
Yeah, it really was. The students responded very well to him and were very intrigued, and I texted him afterwards and told him he was like a movie star. They were taking pictures with him afterwards, so I think it was really great. Everything that he's doing down there is fantastic.
Thank you again. The other thing I have to talk about is the budget vote. John has presented it, done it. I just want to encourage everyone, never think one way or the other about the vote. I would love to see every single person in the district come out and vote, hear their opinion, take time, talk to me, talk to John, tell us what you think. I can tell you from conversations during the budget vote, over the years, it has shaped decisions, it has changed how we put out information in the newsletter, so your opinion does matter, so please come out and vote. We took the kids to DC, it's one of the rights we have, please come and exercise it. Then I'm moving on to recognitions. So what I have here is the art students and teachers. Congratulations to all our art students and teachers. A really well-curated art show. The creativity and effort behind each piece was evident, and the show was a great reflection on the talent. Thank you for sharing your work. And it was one of the largest, we changed the venue of where it was, and we had one of the largest showings ever for it. We're trying to figure out what made the difference between the gym and having it out at the columns, but it was very successful for that. So thank you for the art teachers for thinking of moving it. The next thing I have is the Safe Promise Club. So Judy Slowick is the one who runs this, and she has been selected to serve on the school advisory committee, and Violet has been selected to serve on the National Youth Advisory Board for Sandy Hook Promise as a result of the work of the Safe Promise Club at Iroquois. 9 people from across the country were selected, and that's out of, I want to say, 4,600 teams. So 9 out of 4,600, I'll let John do the percentage of that later. The Summer Leadership Conference, I'll be attending in DC, mid-year virtual, and participating in planning and speaking and presentations at the National Safe Promise Virtual Club in next April. Accomplishments that they've done, it's a whole page, but to summarize them real quick, start with hello, safe school work, sustainability and management grant. They received that. 5th grade mentor program. They received another grant for the National Safe Promise Youth Club Summit. No One Eats Alone, Say Something display, case warning signs, National Safe Promise Club with Summit in Philadelphia, National Youth Violence Prevention Week. They wrote the messages for that. They did a display case for it in June, targeting foundational leadership skills and creating a sense of belonging in the community. Congratulations to everyone in that club. The next thing I have is Skills USA State Competition at the New York State Fairgrounds. Grain won bronze medal for the virtual production and design program. So he's in our CTE programs here. Congratulations with that award. The next thing we have AP Environmental Science, and they worked with a professional from UB, completed a chemical and DNA sequencing analysis of the water in Buffalo Creek. With that, they described the biodiversity of the bacteria they found. They did cultures and isolated one particular bacterial colony. Other part of it was a whole genome that's what DNA and sequencing. The students selected was a novel strand of bacteria. You know, it was not original. I guess not original, it's been around for a long time, but it was unique to this area. And the DNA sequencing that they completed will be undergoing further analysis, and the genome will be added to the NIH database, and they will be presenting their research at a capstone event at UB Jacobs Biomedical Institute May 21st. And if you care for reading that, I do have what they put out on the bacteria. The next thing I have here is Olivia, and Mrs. McCoy attended the 121st anniversary celebration of the U.S. District Court of Western New York. Mrs. McCoy complimented Olivia on her performance. There were 600 distinguished judges and lawyers from all over the county. Red Hawk proud. What's that? You gotta use your mic.
Including a Supreme Court justice.
Including a Supreme Court justice. How this all came about is there was an essay contest and a mock argument competition, the civic outreach program by attorneys in the public with schools, the Supreme Court decision of West Virginia State Board of Education first Barnett. They had to eligible to compete. In order, you had to win something in this, an essay, and eligible to compete by applying this case. It's in the First Amendment protection against compelling speech for public policy, and Olivia took third place. So then she shows up there for this debate. The finalists participated in the argument competition. They argued the positions and took they argued for the positions they took in their essay with the three-judge panel, and Olivia took first place for that. So I do not want to argue with her. If she comes and asks me for something in the district, she has it. This becomes very repetitive, but our transportation department had a 100% passing rate again for the maintenance of the buses. I've lost count of how many years. Congratulate them. Phenomenal group for that. Next is Keith. This is from New York State School Boards Association Board Achievement Award. You had 75 points, excellence recognition program. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
We can take a picture with your parents by the flag later.
Okay.
I do have this convention scholarship certificate for Jane because she had board lifetime achievement. I'll even turn this one around for the public because she has more than 500 points for her ongoing stuff. Not only does she get a certificate, Keith, but she also gets a nice plaque, something to work towards. So congratulations.
It takes 10 years.
So if anyone, oh, here, and we have a set of pen and pencil for her too from the, oh, those are for, sorry, Keith, you get those. I was going to give them to Jane. Sorry, Jane. And that's all I have.
Excellent. Any questions or comments before we move to the next phase?
I wanted to talk about something that was not on the agenda. Is that now a good time?
Yeah, we can do that.
I just wanted to inquire, Doug, about what's going on with our student board member. I'm conscious that July 1st is right around the corner, and I meant to tell Jim or ask Jim to put it on as an agenda item, but I
That's okay. It actually is on the agenda because the policy you're approving is the policy for that board member. I've already worked with the SGB advisor. They will be, when they have the votes, that will be a vote that they will be taking place as part of it. They haven't had the vote yet, and they will be onboarded and placed to go when we need it.
So, yeah, I saw the policy was there, but I guess more or less about, are there candidates? Or is there
I don't
anyone
think
said
they've
that-
done any advertisement or anything like that. I would have to go over and check to see where she is in the process. I look for other people that walk around the buildings because I haven't seen, they put up the posters for when they're running and everything, and there are no posters up yet that I have seen for any part in SGB, and it would go along with the same election.
And
When is that election?
She told me late May, early June.
okay, that's like soon.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And along with that, it's also setting the students' expectations about their responsibilities, right?
Yes, yep, and I will be meeting with them. Whoever the winner is, I'll be meeting with them, and I offered to the advisor that anyone that has questions, that I can come over, I can answer them, or whatever she needs to support her having candidates to run for it.
And let us know when the vote is, because it'd be fun maybe for a couple of us to pop in. I mean, not as voting members, but just to kind of see that whole experience, because I think it would be interesting. Am I the only one feeling like that? Jane, I know Jane's looking for some things to do before end of June, but I think it's kind of exciting to go through this
I believe the
process.
students are just starting to put like their posters together and,
Okay, so we do have people that are striking up an interest.
yes. I don't think
Excellent.
anything's been hung around the building yet.
And then have we thought about how we're going to announce to the community who the student winner is? Because obviously the students will know fairly quickly, but,
I'd probably do it
there's
in
a
one of
little
my,
fanfare to that too, yeah?
I'd put it in one of my messages,
Okay.
so they know who it is.
All right.
You know, and hopefully, it probably won't be in time when I announce who the winner is during our vote next week. Please remember, voting next week, 1 week from today, 7:30 to 9. And,
Be there.
but I always announce that the next Monday, thank everyone for attending, but I would put that in later once that's happened and the proper announcement is done to the student body, so they would find out through the appropriate channels that we've done for all the student governing bodies or
And to let them
positions.
know, like, they're going to be attending the board meetings, no voting rights, just because the public may not be tracking what's going on, as this mandate unfolds. So,
Okay.
and did anyone have a chance to listen to that podcast that came from NISBA on rolling out the student board member?
Part of it.
Is it worth a listen?
Yes.
Okay.
Short answer is yes.
Okay, good. But you didn't make it through all the way, so maybe, no, I'm just
That'd be the long answer.
It's really talking about, what, moving forward, what best practices will be with a student on the board for the boards that, like ours, that haven't had a student before.
Okay.
And what the guidelines are for how you can pick one, and what we're doing is within those guidelines, so.
Okay.
So on the website, the student board member application is due May 23rd.
Okay.
To give you an idea of
Yeah.
timeline.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for looking that up.
So the only question I have, Doug, is, I know this is, for us embarking on new territory, an area that we've not done before, the question would be are we looking back and maybe next year do something a little bit different as far as maybe the exposure or communicating or something like that from lessons learned, if you will, as we go through it and as we're bringing the new board member on board, there's... Yeah, exactly. Just trying to make sure, like, if there's something that we're sort of taking away, is there something that we can do better?
I want to smile. I don't want this to sound bad. I haven't learned any lessons from it yet. And why I say that is, we're still moving the policy. Moving the vote would be moving all the student government's votes of what they normally do for their process, because it's part of their vote. That's something I could talk to the advisor about, but now we're asking them to change their procedures to meet where they are. Haven't experienced the vote, haven't experienced them on the board. That's where I think were the lessons. So it'll be the onboarding that I do with them, and I'll have to monitor that to how are they interacting. I know, like, for my student cabinet, one of the things I have to teach the students, I had a little trouble with it, even though I've been working with them all year, one student was still raising his hands. I'm like, we don't raise our hands. You find the appropriate space, and that's where you interject. So it'll be a monitoring process for the lessons learned as we go on. We'll see how many people run for it, what can be done to, I don't want to say entice, it sounds like we're trying to trick them, but for students to see the interest in how it can benefit them further on down. I do know that people from here, being on the board, they learn and get on other boards and are very successful from their experiences here, and that's why it'd be nice for them to, one of the experience they could take away.
Yeah, and I'm hoping Iroquois encourages students to do that, right? That's the key, Entice is probably the wrong word. Encouraging them to participate, I think will help just further that.
So we, the delegate committee at ECASB met last week, and this was a big topic of conversation. Most of the delegates, representatives, talked about how their district has decided to incorporate this new policy. A lot of districts are doing what we're doing, where they're letting the student population pick their student representative. Some of them are just automatically making it their student government president or vice president. Some are doing what I had suggested all along, where they have two students, one who's a senior and one who's a junior. The junior automatically takes the spot as the senior in the coming years. So the junior actually is on for 2 years. And then there was some conversation about ECASB is working with Erie One BOCES to create a program similar to our governance training for us, to do something for the students to have some kind of a central training where they'd get to meet all the other students from other school boards and whatnot.
That would be neat.
The trouble with that really becomes like every school has its own policy and every school is doing something a little different with their student. So it's coming up with those general, what is best practices that all districts will be following to give them appropriate training. But that is in the works as well.
Nice.
All right, moving on. Nora, do we have any guests?
We do not.
It's the only question I have for Nora tonight. Okay. Actually, there might be another one.
You have another one.
I do have another one. All right, moving into the discussion, I think, Dave?
Yep, I have a whole list of people to welcome to Iroquois, but actually tonight, we have one of our new teachers, Jenna Patterson. If she can stand up, give everybody a wave. She'll be joining us as an elementary teacher in the intermediate building. Came in, was hanging out with us tonight, so introducing her. But we also have Renee Reedhart, who will be joining us as an assistant principal in middle school. Corey Bazinski, who will be joining us as an elementary teacher in the II. Gretchen Throm, who's going to be our music teacher in the elementary buildings. Katie Fatty, who will be joining us as a counselor in the middle school. Amy Hoffman, who will be joining us as a counselor in Marilla Primary. Brittany Farquhar, who's an aide at Marilla Primary. Lori Casimir will be joining us as our new payroll clerk. And Michael Selman will be joining us as a new bus attendant in the transportation department. But I also would like to thank Sue Coulter, who is going to be retiring. She's our current payroll clerk, and I'd like to thank her for dedication and time to the district here at Iroquois, and wish her best as she heads out into retirement.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
And welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Moving to the consensus agenda, the basic purpose of the consent agenda is to act upon routine matters in an expeditious manner. Items placed on the consent agenda are determined by the board president and vice president in cooperation with the superintendent, and are those which are considered common to the operation of the district and normally require no special board discussion or debate. Board members have the ability and responsibility of reviewing the consent agenda ahead of time. A board member may request that any item on the consent agenda to be removed and inserted at the appropriate place on the regular agenda. The president will present the initial motion, followed by a request for a second motion. So first, is there any request to withdraw any items from the agenda?
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up, but, so 2002 is a substitute list, which I think we had talked about previously about understanding like the revisions to the substitute list, like people being added or people being removed. And Andy is a substitute.
He is not on the list, because that's why we did him separately as an appointment.
Oh,
So
he's on this list.
Oh, he should not be on the list.
So I just wanted to,
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So like, we don't know from a board perspective, and I think maybe just go down the road and maybe something we can consider, like what the revisions are so that we know, like if Keith's daughter gets a job as a cleaner and
Yeah.
she's always been.
No, we can make notes by each one of them,
Yeah.
any new one or one removed.
What are your thoughts? Oh, sorry.
My understanding is legally, they only need to be approved once.
Okay,
Which we already did.
yeah,
We
okay.
provide that list to you just for your review, okay? So for instance, when Andy was appointed as a substitute, he was appointed, that really only takes one vote to do that.
Okay.
He remains on the list. So every time you do it every month, you're simply approving whoever was added to that list,
Okay,
okay? But we're providing you as a service, everyone that is on the list.
okay. So we shouldn't
So
know
for
what the
instance-
additions or deletions are or
No,
whatever?
we
really don't.
we are
Okay.
going to get those marked for you, though.
Okay.
I do
Well, I
like the idea, we
understand.
are going to get those
Okay.
marked for you.
Okay. So he was previously approved, so
He was
I just
previously
wanted to point it out
approved, and we
for
did it that way.
transparency. Yeah.
We did it that way intentionally
Okay.
because of not having to vote for a relative,
Yeah.
which is why he should not be on that list, so I
Okay.
apologize. He
Okay.
won't be on it next month.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So is there a request to add any agenda items? Oh, yes, silence. Can I have a motion to approve consensus agenda items?
So moved.
You have to read the
Yeah.
numbers, Keith.
What? Numbers? Where are the numbers?
Right here, 11.01 through
Oh, I gotta
23.
actually say that?
Yeah.
Oh, man. New to this, I'm never doing this again. Okay.
Jim, you heard him, he wants to do it again,
Can I have a motion to approve consensus agenda items 11.01 through 23.10?
So moved.
Second. And I'd like to say too, I really like that consensus agenda statement,
Which one?
in 1001,
Oh, yeah.
right, so that's it.
Yeah, we started doing that about 6 months ago.
I know,
Yeah.
but I like hearing it, I know
Yeah.
it's been there,
Yeah, we-
but I like hearing it, to reiterate to the people
It
listening.
was best practices that I learned by going to other board
Yeah.
meetings.
I love it.
In other districts.
I think it's been there and we refined it a little bit, but yeah.
So where are we at discussion?
Right in the middle of the vote.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the
I
vote.
don't know, I'm lost.
Okay,
All right.
sorry.
Discussion?
So discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? All right, no abstain, or any abstains?
Any
Okay.
questions?
And then we're looking at any recognition of guests?
No.
No, we already did that.
No, we have a second one at the end
Yeah.
for items that are not in the agenda.
Oh, see, I'm already at the...
And now you can ask for an adjournment, motion for adjournment.
Oh, yes, okay, cool.
You're next.
Okay, so can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yes.
How do you
Abstain?
Say motion passes.
Motion passes.
hit the gavel?
Oh,
Meeting adjourned.
meeting adjourned.